You're watching the Daily Climate Show on Sky News. On today's programme, the world's biggest jeweller says it's switching to lab-grown diamonds to help reduce carbon emissions. We find out if they really are more sustainable. It's confirmed the cost of single-use plastic bags will double to 10p and apply to all shops. And Queen guitarist Brian May on why he's involved in a campaign to save Britain's hedgehogs. Hello and welcome to the UK's only daily climate news show where we track the changes happening to our world right now and meet those coming up with the solutions. We aim to take you to the heart of the climate crisis, explain the data driving the changes that are already affecting us, but also show you just how far we've come. Now, the world's biggest jewellery brand has announced plans to stop sourcing mined diamonds and switch to lab-grown alternatives. Pandora says the move will help it become carbon neutral by 2025. But are lab-grown gems actually any better for the planet? Well, to make traditional diamonds, you need a mine, transportation, heavy machinery and explosives. An estimated 250 tonnes of earth is shifted for every single carat of diamond mined. One of the most famous traditional mining companies, De Beers, uses an average of 80.3 kilowatt hours per carat. But lab-made diamonds are energy intensive because of the amount of power that they use. Now, making them needs carbon, a source of energy, and sometimes gas. Now, an average synthetic diamond takes 250 kilowatt hours per carat grown, far more than for traditional gems. The emissions depend on where the electricity comes from. Between 50 and 60% of synthetic diamonds are made in China, where coal-fired power stations are the main energy source, and that results in 205 kilograms of carbon dioxide equivalent per polished carat. However, if the power was from natural gas, it would be 122 kilograms per carat. For solar power, 12 kilograms. Hydropower is 6 kilos of greenhouse gases. And if the power comes from wind, there's only 3 kilograms of harmful emissions per lab-grown diamond carat. Well, with me now is Dale Vince, the founder of Sky Diamond, a company which says it's tackling the climate crisis by creating beautiful, ethical diamonds using green technology with no carbon footprint. So welcome to you. As we heard there, Dale Vince, creating diamonds in a lab uses a huge amount of power. So how do you make sure that the process is carbon neutral?
Well, our process just has 4 simple ingredients. We use the rain and the sun. We use the wind and the sun to make energy to power our process. We capture rain and we split that to make hydrogen. And we take carbon directly from the atmosphere, which is the core ingredient, the only ingredient really of a diamond, in fact. So the wind, the sun, the rain and carbon from the atmosphere, that's all we use. So our process is not carbon neutral or carbon zero, it's carbon negative. We embed carbon from the atmosphere into our stones. We've commissioned a report by Imperial College. It's an independent one, the first in the world. And that shows 1,100 tons of rock have to be dug to make a single carat of stone. And our own energy footprint is 40 units of electricity, not 250, but 40. That's like 3 days typical household use in Britain.
I guess how green a lab-grown diamond is depends on the kind of power that you use. If it's fossil fuels, it's going to cause problems.
To mine 1,100 tons of stone, you have to use a lot of fossil fuels. I think this is a myth from the mining industry. It's a defensive measure. They put out these reports a few years ago. I think the numbers are very unreliable. We're using machines that are available in the world today to make our stones. That's not special. It is only 40 units of electricity. And, by comparison, the greenhouse gas emissions for a carat of mined stone is half a ton. And the carbon footprint is 100 kilograms. This is data from Imperial College, who've put a lot of time into this to get an independent view of the mined industry. And it's about time we kind of shone a light on this, because there's a lot said about lab-grown stones having a high energy content, and I think it's not true. Certainly in our experience, it's absolutely not true.
And what about the end product? Can you tell the difference between a lab-grown diamond and one that's traditionally mined?
If you're in a lab, and you stick it under a microscope, you can see a difference. And the difference is that a lab-grown stone is more perfect. But if you're a jeweler or a member of the public, somebody looking at a piece of jewelry, absolutely you can't tell. They're chemically identical and almost molecularly identical, but the lab-grown is slightly more perfect.
Dale, Vince, very interesting to talk to you. Thanks very much indeed. Now, carbon dioxide emissions from fossil fuel combustion in the EU dropped 10% last year. Eurostat, the EU's statistical office, found that emissions fell in all of the EU's 27 member states compared with 2019 as governments imposed lockdowns due to COVID-19. And here on our data dashboard, you can see how CO2 emissions around the world are ticking up. And that, of course, has an impact on this number here. This is human-induced global warming. That's how much our planet has warmed since the Industrial Revolution. And then up here, you can see the real-time power mix in Great Britain, and around 47% of our electricity is currently coming from fossil fuels, 34% from renewable sources, and 19% there from nuclear. And you can see a more detailed breakdown of the real-time power mix, including just how much electricity is coming from sources including wind and solar, anytime you like. Just head to our website, skynews.com/climate. Now let's take a look at some of the day's other climate news now. And every household in England will receive separate weekly food collections from 2023 to help people recycle their waste. It's part of plans by the government to reach their target of eliminating all avoidable waste by 2050. Ministers are also considering free garden waste collections, which could save homeowners over £100 million a year in charges. The National Trust is reconstructing a 19th century parkland in Norfolk using aerial photos taken by the RAF after the Second World War. Work is already underway at Oxburgh Hall to restore 175 of the original 400 acres of woodland, making it one of the largest habitats the charity has ever created. The conservation team hope it'll make the area more resilient to climate change. And biologists in France are playing their very own game of Where's Wally? Forget the stripy T-shirt and bobble hat. Wally the grey whale has been spotted in the Mediterranean, thousands of miles from his natural habitat in the Pacific Ocean. Experts think he accidentally swam into the Atlantic Ocean after global warming melted ice and opened up a route through. Now, the price of plastic bags in England is being doubled to 10 pence. All businesses, including corner shops, will have to apply the charge from the 21st of May. Previously, only retailers with more than 250 employees were required to do so. So the 5 pence charge was introduced in England in 2015. Since then, their use has fallen by 95%. The average shopper now only buys 4 single-use plastic bags a year, and that's compared with 140 in 2014. The government says it hopes the new cost will reduce the use of plastic bags by up to 80% in small and medium-sized shops. Well, campaigner Lizzie Carr founded the group Planet Patrol and thinks the 10p charge doesn't go far enough. She's calling for a total ban on plastic bags, including bags for life.
One major retailer actually reported a 2,740% increase in Bag for Life sales over that 4-year levy period. So these figures show that people really aren't deterred by a charge. We need to see more transparent reporting. That's across all retailers, large and small. And we need to see this fed back to the general public more accurately and not completely omitting Bag for Life sales, which we know have skyrocketed.
Now, they're one of Britain's most recognisable and well-loved mammals, but hedgehogs are vulnerable to extinction in the UK. Gardens with decking and artificial turf, a loss of natural habitat and even climate change are all posing a threat to the spiny creatures. Well, in an effort to help, a campaign is aiming to create Britain's first hedgehog-friendly borough. School children in Surrey Heath are being given everything they need to create a safe haven for the endangered mammal. Well, Queen guitarist Brian May is part of the campaign and he joins me now. Brian May, thanks so much for talking to us. Tell us a little bit more about this campaign that you've got going in schools in that area. What are you teaching the children and what do you want to achieve?
Well, children are wonderful, actually, because they do get it immediately. And we're very much in the schools in Surrey Heath, and they're helping us do a survey, a census of hedgehogs in the area, and it gets them into this feeling that these animals are precious and that they're threatened, and they are the next generation who will have to look after them. I mean, we do make a big noise about how people treat their wildlife population in other countries, but we're really not doing a very good job in this country. And hedgehogs are massively in decline from about 30 million to under 1 million now. It's a very serious thing. And it's not just they're cute creatures. I mean, these are the wildlife of Britain. And if you make your countryside and your gardens, etc., friendly to hedgehogs, then they'll be friendly to all the wild animals that we have in Britain. So it's a very, very serious cause as the habitat gets eaten up more and more by housing and urbanisation, concrete.
I mean, it's clear that you're passionate about conservation, you're passionate about the environment and have been for years. So I just wanted to get your view on musicians touring, because I know Coldplay, for example, decided not to tour their album just over a year ago because of the carbon footprint involved. Is that something that Queen would ever consider doing?
Well, we have considered it, yes. We've postponed our touring twice now, so we're now due to go out next May and June, and we're very much looking at lessening our carbon footprint. Yeah, I think people will still have to travel. If you play music, you have to get to people somehow. It's not good enough just to be on Zoom or TV or the internet or whatever. You have to make personal contact. But yes, you can be a lot more careful about how much energy you use, how much pollution you create, what your carbon impression is. So yes, we're looking at it and we'll do the best we can. We already did, actually, on the last tour we did, which was all around Southeast Asia. We cut down the amount of trucks that we use to about half. So it's there, it's coming.
Brian May, thanks very much indeed. That's it for today's show, but you can get your climate fix over the weekend with our podcast. On this week's episode, we're talking tipping points and how it's not too late to save the planet. That's on ClimateCast, and it's available wherever you normally get your podcasts from. And on our weekly digital show this week, Sky correspondent Siobhan Robbins tells us the behind-the-scenes story of Thailand's fight against toxic wildfires. That's available on Sky News social channels, our app and our website. Thanks for watching and see you next week.